Hello everyone, it's Mafalda and welcome back to my channel. And today I'm going to be looking back on my 2023 TBR and see what books I ended up reading or not reading. I actually did a video here on my channel that was a concept that I've seen around but I never really tried to do it, which was 23 books that I want to read in 2023. So those were 23 books that I really wanted to prioritize in 2023, and I actually only posted that video and figured out that list in March after I came back to BookTube, so I was already a little late to the trend, but I was like, I'll keep up with it and it'll be fine and I'll read those 23 books. Turns out I was looking back at that video yesterday and I really didn't. Honestly, I kind of forgot about that list throughout the year, but I still managed to read a couple of books from that list, and I actually did a little graphic with all of those books that I'll put up on the screen now. And yeah, it was a really good selection of books. I tried to pick books that were already in my physical TBR and also some books that I wanted to purchase and to eventually be on my physical TBR in 2023. And also I tried to pick a handful of books that were coming out in 2023, so new releases. So it was a really good variety of books and most of them were already on my physical TBR, so I really had no excuse for not reading them. But I guess things changed and I honestly should have done this little graphic and just kept it, I don't know, by my desk or something, so I could look at it every day and remember that I set that as my TBR for 2023. Because yeah, like I said, I completely forgot about this video that I did and this list that I made. It was a really big surprise when yesterday I watched the video and I figured out that I did not read the majority of those books. But things will be different this year, and now looking back at the books that I actually did read, so I read 7 of the 23 books that I said I was going to read in 2023. Like I said, I was already late doing this video and this little challenge, I guess. So I was already late by 2 months, so I guess that gives me a little bit more of an excuse, and I think 7 books is not that bad. It's 30% of the 23 books, which yeah, really isn't that bad and could be a lot worse. And actually from these books that I read that I had in my TBR for 2023, I DNF'd one of them, which was Wild Beauty by Anna Marie McLemore. But the rest of the books that I did end up reading were either 4 or 5 stars, so that's pretty great. I'm glad that these books were in my TBR because I already had a good feeling about them. I think Burnt Sugar, Circe, You Don't Have a Shot, and My Pen is the Wing of a Bird were all 4 stars, and then Bye and Yellowface were 5 stars. So yeah, that was a pretty good turnout. I wish I could have read more books from this list, but like I said, I just completely forgot. So I'm trying to do better in 2024, and that is also why I wanted to do this video, because I wanted to share my list of 24 books that I want to read in 2024. And this time I did do a little picture so I can keep by my desk, my bedside table, my phone, I don't know, just anywhere that I can look back on throughout the year and remember that I said I was going to read those books. And also, like, most of these books are already either on my physical TBR or just on my like general TBR of books that I want to get and read. So I'm really excited about all of them, and I figured since there were so many books that I didn't read from my 23 for 2023 list, I wanted to keep all of those books. There were 2 books that I had on my list of last year that I decided not to move forward to 2024 because those 2 books, honestly, I still eventually want to read them, but they're not a priority at the moment at all, and I don't have them physically with me, so I just decided to end up dropping those 2 books. But the rest of them are gonna continue to 2024 because I'm still really interested in reading them. So I decided to keep 14 of the books that I had for last year. So then it was just a matter of picking another 10 books that I wanted to read for 2024. And first of all, I decided to look at my TBR card because one of the priorities that I really want to make in 2024 is to read more for my physical TBR. I feel like I say this pretty much every year, but now I really want to cut down on the books that I have there, and I decided to see which ones were more of a priority for me right now and that I really feel like I want to read in 2024. I don't know if that makes any sense, because I want to read all of them obviously, but there are some that it just jumped out to me, so I guess I included those. And I decided to include I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou, Mr. Loverman by Bernardine Evaristo, The Beauty of Your Face by Sahar Mustafa, If an Egyptian Cannot Speak English by Noor Naga, Minor Feelings by Kathy Park Wong, and The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. The first three is because I've had these three books on my TBR the longest, I think since like 2021 or 22, but still they've been there for a really long time and I really want to get to them. And then the last three is just because I was like, I don't know, gravitating more towards them and I really want to read them, and also they're pretty short, all three of them, so I feel like we'll get through them really quickly. And as for the 4 remaining books for my 2024 TBR, I decided to look at books that I had added on my Goodreads shelves and books that I don't own yet. And I decided to pick, I actually didn't do this on purpose, but I picked 3 nonfiction and 1 fiction. The fiction one is Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. I never read anything by that author. I've heard amazing things about that book. I've never seen the movie and I really want to see the movie as well. So I feel like it's time to finally try that book in 2024 and I'm honestly really excited. And then the other 3 nonfictions, one is actually a 2024 release, which is the memoir of RuPaul. It's called The House of Hidden Meanings and it's a memoir about RuPaul's life. I honestly don't know the release date. I should look into that, but I love celebrity memoirs. I hope the audiobook is narrated by RuPaul because I love listening to audiobooks narrated by the author, especially when they're memoirs. And yeah, I'm really excited to read that one. And the other nonfiction books that I want to read, first of all, is Body Neutral by Jessie Nealand, a revolutionary guide to overcoming body image issues. And I honestly looked at a lot of reviews on Goodreads and the rating is actually pretty high, so I'm trusting all of that, and I just feel like if this book is done well and I'm not triggered by anything, I feel like I'm really going to enjoy it. And the last nonfiction and book that I want to read in 2024 is called Superfan: How Pop Culture Broke My Heart by Jen Sukfun Lee. And I love pop culture and I love books about pop culture and I feel like I don't read enough, so I really want to buy this book and eventually read it in 2024. As for just like general reading goals for 2024, I kind of mentioned them briefly in my last video where I talked about my favorite books of 2023 and I went through the stats and everything. If you haven't seen that video, you can check it out here on the cards. But I have basically 2 like general reading goals. One is to read 75 books in 2024. I also had that goal in 2023 and it was honestly a pretty good number for me, so I think I'm keeping that. I'm not aiming for the stars. I feel like 75 books is a pretty good number for me right now. And then the second goal that I have is just to read more books from my physical TBR. I feel like my physical TBR is really not out of control like it used to be a couple of years ago, but I still want to read more from there and I want to buy less books. Even though in 2023 I feel like I was pretty good at buying books. I only pretty much bought books either for videos or the book club. And also I bought books when I was abroad traveling because I love buying books in bookstores abroad. Those were pretty much the only occasions where I bought books, so I'm really happy with that. But I now want to just focus on reading the books that I already have, that I've had for a number of years. And I also want to end 2024 with less books on my physical TBR than I have right now. I have right now, and I counted before I started this video, I have 50 books exactly. I don't know how I got to that number, but I guess, yeah, I have 50 books that I have to read physically. And in part with that goal of reading more for my physical TBR, I want to, first of all, I want to read at least 50%, maybe I'll regret this later, but I want to read at least 50% of the books that I already have. So I want to read 25 of the books that I have on my physical TBR right now by the end of the year. And I feel like this is a pretty good goal, especially with the list that I just showed you of 24 books that I want to read in 2024, especially because most of them are already on my physical TBR, so I guess that goes hand in hand with that list. And another little goal that I have related to my physical TBR is that I want to end 2024 with only around 30 books on my physical TBR. And I honestly could have done the math of how many books I need to read and how many books I can buy technically within this year and read, so that I don't end up with more than 30 books on my physical TBR by the end of the year. I could have done all of that math, but I just didn't. And the reason why I've set this goal is that I really don't like that my normal number of books on my physical TBR is around like 40, 50, sometimes even 60. I feel like that's too much for me right now because I'm not reading as much as I was before, and I just feel like I should have like 30 books that I could pick from. I feel like having more than that is just too much for me. So I want to read more from my physical TBR. Hopefully not only the list of 24 books that I want to read in 2024, but also these little minor goals can be ingrained in my brain throughout the year and can help me achieve a shorter TBR of physical books. And I guess those are my only other reading goals that I hadn't mentioned in my last video, because I did mention in that video that I want to read more translated fiction and translated works in general, and I also want to read more from POC authors. And now that I think of it, I also want to read more books outside of the US, but I guess that goes hand in hand with like reading more translated works. So yeah, I guess those are my reading goals for 2024. I feel like it's going to be a great reading year. Also, let me know in the comments down below if you're doing this little challenge, I guess, of reading 24 books for 2024. I feel like it's a really fun challenge, but as the years progress, it just becomes a longer list, so I really don't like that. Let's go back to like 2010, 2012, please. Also, let me know if you have any other reading goals for 2024. And yeah, I guess that concludes my video. I hope you guys liked it, and I will see you on my next one. Bye!